At 93, Angie Dickinson has reached a stage in life where reflection comes naturally, and honesty feels gentle rather than risky. After decades in the public eye, she has finally chosen to speak about James Arness, not to stir old rumors, but to honor a connection rooted in respect and quiet understanding. Angie has lived through Hollywood's most glamorous and most difficult eras, witnessing fame rise and fade, friendships bloom and disappear. With time has come clarity. Her words now carry warmth rather than mystery, wisdom rather than secrecy. Speaking about James is not about romance or headlines, but about remembering a man whose presence left a lasting impression on her life. In her calm, thoughtful reflections, Angie offers something rare, a reminder that some of the most meaningful relationships are defined not by spectacle, but by kindness, restraint, and mutual regard that endures long after the cameras stop rolling. Roots of independence and early ambition. Angie Dickinson was born Angeline Brown on September 30th, 1931, in Culm, North Dakota, the second of 3 daughters in a modest, disciplined household. Her early years were shaped by strong family values, resilience, and a deep sense of self-reliance that would later define her screen persona. When her family relocated to Burbank, California, Angie entered a world filled with possibility, though acting was not yet her goal. She attended Bellarmine Jefferson High School and later Immaculate Heart College, where she developed a love for language and storytelling, initially aspiring to become a writer or editor. Her natural beauty and confidence were undeniable, but she remained focused on independence rather than stardom. A local beauty contest unexpectedly altered her path, opening doors she never planned to knock on and quietly setting her course toward Hollywood. Finding her place in a changing industry, Angie's early acting career unfolded during the 1950s, a time when television was rapidly reshaping American entertainment. She began with small guest roles on popular series, gradually building experience and confidence in front of the camera. What set her apart was not just her striking appearance, but a rare combination of toughness and warmth that felt authentic. Directors noticed her ease, her intelligence, and her ability to hold her own in scenes dominated by strong male leads. Her breakthrough arrived in 1959 with Rio Bravo, where she starred opposite John Wayne. As Feathers, Angie displayed wit, confidence, and emotional control, earning widespread acclaim. The role established her as more than a glamorous presence. It revealed an actress capable of depth, humor, and quiet authority in a male-dominated genre. Stardom on her own terms. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, Angie Dickinson became one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces, appearing in major films alongside legendary actors. Yet she resisted being boxed into decorative or secondary roles. Angie deliberately chose characters who were intelligent, capable, and emotionally complex. This determination reached its peak with Policewoman, where she portrayed Sergeant Pepper Anderson. The role made television history, presenting one of the first female leads in a network police drama. Angie's performance balanced strength and compassion, inspiring audiences and reshaping how women were portrayed on screen. Awards and nominations followed, but more importantly, so did influence. Angie proved longevity was possible without sacrificing dignity. Even as trends shifted, she adapted with confidence, earning respect not just as a star, but as a trailblazer who quietly expanded opportunities for women in entertainment. Personal life, love, and resilience. Away from the screen, Angie's personal life reflected the same complexity and strength she brought to her roles. Her first marriage ended as her career gained momentum, teaching her early lessons about independence and identity. Later, her marriage to composer Burt Bacharach placed her at the center of an artistic partnership admired by many. Together, they navigated creativity, public attention, and the demands of parenthood. Angie devoted herself deeply to her daughter, often adjusting her career to prioritize family during times that required patience and strength. Life brought profound challenges that reshaped her perspective, reinforcing her belief in compassion, privacy, and endurance. Through it all, Angie carried herself with quiet grace, choosing reflection over bitterness. These experiences deepened her emotional insight, shaping the thoughtful voice that now speaks with clarity and understanding in her later years. Crossing paths with James Arness. Angie Dickinson first met James Arness during the golden era of television, when Hollywood felt smaller and relationships formed organically. Their paths crossed at social gatherings, where actors mingled without the constant glare of modern media. Angie remembers James as immediately striking, not only for his towering height, but for his calm presence. Though widely known as the rugged star of Gunsmoke, James was far more reserved in person. Angie describes him as gentle, thoughtful, and surprisingly shy, qualities often overlooked by the public. Their connection developed naturally, grounded in mutual respect rather than ambition. They understood the pressures of fame and the importance of boundaries. From the beginning, their bond existed quietly, untouched by the need for attention, shaped instead by shared values and an appreciation for simplicity in an industry that rarely offered it. A friendship built on stillness. What Angie valued most about James Arness was his love for quiet moments. Their conversations were rarely about careers or Hollywood gossip. Instead, they spoke about nature, solitude, and the relief found away from crowds. James preferred fishing, riding, or sitting in silence to industry events, and Angie found that grounding. Their schedules often pulled them in different directions, leaving little space for anything demanding or dramatic. Yet, they always found time to talk. Angie recalls that James was a man of few words, but when he spoke, his thoughts carried weight. Their friendship thrived in simplicity, free from expectations or labels. It was a connection built on trust and understanding, offering comfort rather than excitement and stability rather than spectacle, something Angie now recognizes as deeply meaningful. Remembering James with clarity. When James Arness passed away in 2011, Angie found herself more affected than she expected. Though years had passed since they last spoke, the memories remained vivid. James represented a certain decency that defined her early Hollywood years, a reminder that kindness could survive success. Angie describes him as loyal and sincere, someone who never pretended to be anything he wasn't. In reflecting on his life, she speaks not of loss, but of gratitude. James's quiet strength, his dry humor, and his subtle warmth remain with her. Watching old episodes now brings a smile rather than sadness, as she remembers the man behind the image. For Angie, James is not a chapter that closed, but a presence that gently stayed. Wisdom earned with time. At 93, Angie Dickinson views relationships through a lens shaped by decades of experience. She believes not every meaningful connection requires definition or permanence. Some people, she says, enter our lives to offer balance, understanding, or growth, and that is enough. James Arness was one of those people. He brought calm into her life, and she believes she brought lightness into his. Their shared laughter, subtle and unexpected, remains dear to her memory. Angie expresses no regret, only appreciation. Life unfolded as it needed to, guided by timing rather than intention. Looking back, she sees their connection as complete in its own quiet way. It did not demand more than it gave, and in that balance it achieved something rare. A final reflection on grace. Speaking now is not about correcting history for Angie Dickinson, but about honoring it. Her words about James Arness are filled with dignity, affection, and clarity, shaped by a lifetime of reflection. She recognizes how few people embodied the quiet decency James represented, and how fortunate she was to know him beyond the public image. At this stage in life, Angie values sincerity above all else. Her story is one of resilience, independence, and grace, marked by an enduring ability to see goodness in others. In finally speaking about James, she offers not revelation, but remembrance. A tribute to a friendship that mattered, and to a life lived with depth, humility, and respect that continues to resonate long after the spotlight has dimmed.